Welcome to episode 17 of Free Frosted Mugs, a Fiat Entertainment Group production. I am Rodney, here with Chad.
Hello, Steven.
Hello, Chad. How was your Thanksgiving?
I'm turkeyed out, man.
Yeah?
I think we had like 4 of them, and we do 2 with my wife's side, 2 with my side, and it's just, I think I'm mashed potato and gravied out. I never thought I'd ever say that. But.
You know what I did last night? I took all the leftovers, like the macaroni and cheese and the mashed potatoes and turkey and ham, and I put it in like glassware and just stuck it all in the oven, let it all heat up. Had a smorgasbord of Thanksgiving meals just all in one right there. It's like a cake.
That doesn't sound like a robust cake. It was a very hearty cake.
It was pretty amazing.
You know what I did have? I just have to tell you this real quick. Something I did have, and it's going to sound even, as good as it sounds, it tasted even better, was bacon wrapped stuffing. Might be one of the best things ever.
Bacon wrapped stuffing?
Yeah, so you just take a ball of stuffing, wrap it up in bacon, and bake it. Paige is drooling.
That sounds amazing. Paige, do you have a good Thanksgiving?
I did.
Yeah?
Lots of turkey, lots of cranberry sauce.
Yeah? What were you going to say? You had a comment about the bacon wrapped stuffing?
What isn't good in bacon?
Oh, yeah, that's true. Louis C.K. says when bacon is in your mouth, it doesn't matter who the president is. He's wise like that. Well, good. Well, I'm glad we're on a good Thanksgiving. We do have Paige in here today, producer for the day. So good to have you, Paige. And before we get started, we definitely would like to congratulate the winner of this week's Pick 3 Plus. And I believe this person won before. This is the Chip Kelly Fan Club. So congratulations, Chip Kelly Fan Club. Jim, for your win. You have won another 3 Frosted Mugs beer mug, which you can enjoy your favorite beverage in, Pepsi or Coke, whatever you prefer.
Now, Jim has won before. I know you're going to explain this too. Jim's won before, so he gets actually, because this is the last week for
the regular season. Yeah, this week coming up.
Exactly.
So week 14 of the regular season NFL season is the last regular season week for Pick 3 Plus. And the way this will all work is once this week is up, you'll have a 2-week period of playoffs. Now, just to talk about what Chad is getting ready to say, because, for example, Jim's team has won more than once, he will have more than one entry into the playoffs. If you've won a game in the regular season, then you will have an entry into the playoffs. And again, if you've won more than one, you will have 1 entry per win.
But that first entry, if you have 2 entries, let's say, you're going to have 1 entry for the first week of the playoffs and the second week of the playoffs, then you're going to have a second entry.
Yeah. So you have 2 teams basically.
Yeah.
So it'll be like you're getting to enter in, more than one team.
But it's not mix and match. It's not like you can play your first week of your first entry. You can't add that up with the second entry of your second week.
And that goes into how the playoff winner is determined. It's a combination of the points of the 2 weeks, but it's only per entry. So you can't combine 2 entry points for 1 week, basically.
Scott, you only won once, so you only get 1 entry. So you don't have to worry about that.
Yeah, so those of you who have only won once, you don't have to worry about that. But folks like Chip Kelly, and I think there was another one as well.
I think MGR 44 maybe.
Yeah, something like that. But again, basically, of those 2 weeks, those points will be added up to determine who the winner is. And that winner will win
a Samsung tablet.
I thought it was a secret. It's not.
Now, if you have one, make sure you do contact us to let us know if you haven't received your
mug or your gift card.
Exactly.
To Famous Dave's Barbecue. So I guess Chip Kelly's Fan Club will get a second Dave's Barbecue gift card.
We know Chip Kelly's Fan Club likes to eat, don't you, Jimmy?
Well, congratulations to everyone who has won and has entry into the playoffs. And again, this is your final week to try to win if you haven't had a win already. So good luck with that. And of course, you can go to www.3frostedmugs.com to enter in your picks for your Pick 3 Plus.
That's it.
I think that's it for that, right?
I think so.
Make sure you contact us if you've won and we haven't sent you anything yet, okay?
Exactly.
All right, well, let's get right into it. We're going to start out with the NBA today. And the Wizards having a great start to their season. They're 11-5 now. They just beat the Heat. And before that, who they played before that? Was it Cleveland?
Yep.
And they pulled that game out, right?
Beat Cleveland as well. Washington they're second in the division, or in the conference. They're 11-5 in the conference.
Mm-hmm.
Their last 10 games, they're 7-3. So I mean, they're playing good ball. They won 2 in a row. They're 10-4 in the conference. So that's saying a lot. On the road, they're just above 500. They're 4-3 on the road. They're 7-2 at home, which means a lot because what you're trying to do is you want to be that 1st through 4th seed so you can have that home court advantage. Now, if you're not playing that well at home, it doesn't really matter. But if you're playing good at home, it just even adds to the home, to the home court. Exactly.
Well, and last season it was the opposite, wasn't it? Then weren't they more successful on the road than they were at home? They were having issues at home.
Exactly.
Yeah, so that is nice. The team seems to be working very cohesively together. Nene is still out, from what I understand. But of course, you have the Polish machine, Marcin Gortat, maybe one of my currently favorite Wizards on the team, to be honest.
He's averaging 13-9. I mean, he's pretty much a double-double machine.
Yeah, he had a big game against. It wasn't the Heat, but the game prior, he had his top score of the season thus far, is 24 points. So he was on fire that day. And I just like his positive attitude, man. He's just got a good attitude. I think he brings a lot of good stuff to that team.
And he's not a guy you're really going to lean on to be your go-to guy for scoring. Now, they may have a few plays that they run for him, but as far as, he's not going to be your go-to guy. If they're down 2 with a minute to go, he's not going to be the guy you set up.
Take the three, Gortat.
Yeah, exactly. You got guys. Wall's everything's gonna revolve around John Wall, obviously.
Well, he's playing really well also, and making good decisions. And
yeah, Beal's back, get some starts. He's averaging 13 right now. He's 2 assists a game, 3 rebounds, and that's kind of what you'd like to see those points up a little bit. And we said this the last few times. Paul Pierce. He's still averaging just under 27 minutes a game. I mean, I don't like to see that. I wish they could stay down for now. I wish they could get it down to somewhere around 22, just above the 20s. You want him. You really need him saved up for the playoffs.
I misspoke. They played the Pelicans before they played the Heat, and they beat the Pelicans. They lost the Cavaliers their second meeting this season.
I think that's right. They got to be pretty good.
Yeah, because Cleveland's pretty much turning their results around pretty well, which people would expect with the personnel they have on that team. But
I tell you, Rasul Butler's been playing well too.
I'm sorry, who?
Rasul Butler.
How dare you? What are you gonna do? This is why we have production meetings. Are you just throwing names out at me like that?
I thought Rasul Butler's he's averaging 9 points a game.
Well, good for Rasul Butler. Good for Rasul Butler.
that look was priceless. Like I had just said, a guy from the Australian Rugby League. It would have been just the same reaction.
Do you remember who you're talking to?
He is. He's playing good though. He's giving you some solid minutes, and he's averaging 10 points a game. He can shoot the 3 ball.
Very happy for Rasul. Way to go, buddy. Yeah, all of these wins are they're great. They're wonderful. Of course, they lost to the Mavericks on the 19th. Against the Mavericks, and it was a pretty damn close game. It was 105 to 102. So this team is pretty solid. These are not just like fluke games. These are not, they're all fairly close. But
it's early in the season too, and they're 11-5 right now. They're second in the conference, just their game and a half back of Toronto. But to me, what sticks out, and I'm not going to beat on this too much, but the Western Conference is strong. You look at the top 2 teams right there, just going by record. You got the 15-2 Grizzlies and the 14-2 Warriors.
Yeah.
That's strong. And then you look at the next 4 teams after that. Next 3 teams after that are 13-4. Portland, Houston, and San Antonio. And then even after that, 13-5 Dallas, Clippers 12-5, Phoenix 10-8. You got the 9 and 10 seed, with what would typically be the 9th and 10th team in the Western Conference, are above 500. You've got the 8th team. Indiana's in the 8th spot right now in the Eastern Conference. It's 7-10. They're 3 games under 500.
Yeah, and that's generally how it is. Am I right? As far as comparing the 2 conferences, last season it was like that. The West was super strong.
I always think too many teams make the playoffs, and you have half the teams in the conference make the playoffs.
Yeah.
You have a little bit over half the teams in the conference make the playoffs. So you're going to have some under 500 teams. If you're looking at it right now, Indiana, they're not great. I tell you what, speaking of, we do our doo-doo team in the NFL.
Yeah.
We have to have a doo-doo team in the NBA.
I like it.
Got to be 76ers.
Oh, absolutely. I was just looking at it. Are they? Can they just forfeit the rest of the season? Are they allowed to do that?
They're 0-17. It's ridiculous. If you're 0-7, if you can't win at least one out of every 7 or 8 games. I mean, you're still going to be horrible, but if you're in the National Basketball Associations and you can't win 1 out of every 7 or 8 games, give it up. If you're under 2 wins after 20 games into the season, you shouldn't be allowed to play anymore. Forfeit the rest of your games. It's ridiculous.
It's really sad. I mean, it's sad to watch. And
yeah, and those guys, I mean, they fight hard. I mean, they're playing. I mean, they lost to San Antonio. Of course, they set out Duncan and Parker, but they only lost by, I think it was 3 or 4 points, 6 points. But the guy, I mean, they're playing. They're just not a good basketball team.
You know what's ironic? What's ironic? They have an awful.
What's Atlantis
other
Morissette?
than Atlantis Morissette? What is Atlantis Morissette?
Yeah, ironic.
Oh, yes,
Ironic.
I was going to say a female singer, but yeah, ironic. The ironic thing is that they have a doo-doo basketball team, but their football team is leading the division right now. Our football team in Washington, absolute doo-doo, but our basketball team is pretty sweet. Now I'm hoping that it stays with the basketball team like that.
Yeah.
So,
I mean,
just my little perspective.
Philadelphia's depth chart. Michael Carter Williams. All right, the kid's solid.
Sounds like an author.
Come out here. Sounds like a painter.
Yeah.
Shooting guard, Tony Rotten.
How's it
Never
spelled?
heard of it.
How's that spelled?
Wroten.
Rude.
Right.
Right.
Small forward, Luke Rickard Umba Amute. Okay.
What?
Nerlens Noel is the power forward. Center Henry Sims. Now, I haven't really started getting into my basketball watching yet. I follow the Wizards, but
Yeah.
I mean, I've heard most of these guys.
Oh, man, this is
Tony
like
Rotten averaging
baseball.
17 points a game.
It's like baseball to me, man. Like, I'll follow my team, but as far as, like, I'm not going to sit and watch every single baseball game that goes on. I don't have the time in my life. But when it starts to get a little more close to, toward the later part of the season.
Abute is from Cameroon, from UCLA. He's averaging 8 points a game.
Cameroon, New Jersey?
I think the country.
Oh, okay.
Cameron? Is he from Cameron, New Jersey? All right, Noel. That's a kid from Kentucky. He's averaging 7 points a game. And let's see about
He was a big draft pick.
Let's see about him here, but he's
But, of course, I mean, and the NBA lottery system works as though the lower you were for the season, you get more. Is that right? You get more balls, I guess.
Yeah,
in
you
the,
get more balls.
I don't
But
know.
Philadelphia, you know what? They could have the top 3 draft picks every year. They're still going to find a way to be terrible.
I don't get it.
Like
Maybe
Joel
this is a
Embiid.
3-year plan. Maybe the plan is just to be terrible and acquire as many draft picks as possible, and then just explode onto the scene.
They're disgusting.
I mean, basketball can be a fickle thing. I mean, it's
Yeah, let's see Washington's schedule coming up next week. I know they have the Lakers at home tomorrow night.
that should be it.
Well,
I mean, you never want to say it's going to be a shoe-in, but still,
the Lakers is just terrible.
they're awful. I mean, they're not as bad as Philadelphia, but they're still pretty bad.
Yeah, they're a 4-win team. They're terrible. So you got the Lakers at home. You got Denver at home on Friday. Boston back-to-back.
4-10,
Orlando.
7-12.
Then you got the Clippers.
Okay, so that is going to be the best opponent.
So over that, you need to go. What was Denver 9-8?
Yeah.
So let's see. That's at home. So we're going to go 2-0 there. I mean, you've got to go out of those games right there. You've got to go 4-1, no worse than 3-2 out of the next 5 games coming up.
Incredible. I mean, this just looks like such a fantastic. And then even after that, they have the Jazz 5-13, the Timberwolves 4-12.
Go to Miami.
Miami.
Phoenix is pretty good.
Yeah.
Chicago's always going to play tough. New York is garbage.
Yes.
I mean, Steve Kerr, you should have stayed in the booth, buddy.
Yes.
Or you should. You know what Steve Kerr should have done? He should have went to Golden State. No, that's right. No, Steve Kerr isn't Golden State. Steve Kerr, I apologize.
Sorry.
I'm talking about what's the coach of the Knicks? The
Fisher.
guard. Yeah,
Derek
Fisher. You should have stayed playing basketball because you were a terrible coach so far. Steve Kerr, I do apologize, bro.
Yeah, sorry, man.
I know you're listening, so.
Have some respect for a champ. I mean,
I know. Gosh, I feel so bad about talking about Steve Kerr.
the thing that sticks out in my mind, Steve Kerr, is when the Bulls beat the Utah Jazz. I can't remember what number championship that was for them, but I just remember the camera being on Steve Kerr as he was running onto the court, and he just goes, "I can't effing believe it," and you could see it. I mean, I was like,
I remember that.
God, I was probably 11 years old, 12 years old maybe, and I just remember going, "Oh my God, I can't believe you just said that." It's such a dork.
Steve Kerr. He's
That's
a shooting legend.
I need to get up to DC and watch a game soon. That's when he's happen.
Yeah. I'll have to go check that out.
Definitely. Yeah, I mean, is there anything more to say about the Wizards at this point? I mean, again, it's early on in the season.
It's still early. They need to cut Paul Pierce's minutes down. Bradley Beal he's only 7 games back in. Need to get in a little rhythm. Find yourself on there. I mean, Otto Porter's giving you some solid minutes. Rasul Butler solid minutes. You're getting what you need to get out of like Garrett Temple. But I mean, you just hanging. Not really. I'm not gonna say hanging on right now, but you're kind of trying to stay in that top 4 positions in the Eastern Conference because you don't want to find yourself next thing you know battling for a 6 or 7 spot. Which I'm not gonna jinx it, but I can't see this team dropping down that low. But then again, I mean, you want to stay ideally in the top 3, and I mean if they can get up there because Toronto's good, but they're not overly impressive to me. I mean, we're only a game and a half back right now, so I don't see any reason to why we can't get up there and start, working over that number 1 spot.
I agree with that.
We'll see how things go.
Just to comment on Paul Pierce real quick, I follow Marcin Gortat on Facebook, and he put up a picture of, I guess he worked out with Paul Pierce that day, and Marcin Gortat's laying down on his back. Paul Pierce has his foot on him. He's going like that.
Nah.
I mean, Paul Pierce, I feel like could play the entire game if he needed him to. I know you're weary about having him on there so long because I guess his age as well, it's a big factor. But it looks like he's got a lot left in him. I'm so glad he's here.
He does, I know, but yeah, he just needs to. I mean, we got a limited minutes. But oh well, I mean, hey, like I said, if his body holds up, then, I mean.
I would love it if he called in right now and just. I mean, because he was an
And
avid fan of the show.
then Steve Kerr calling and cussed me out for not saying it.
How dare you think I was coaching the Knicks? Never have my name attached to such a thing.
Phil Jackson wishes he was coaching the Knicks.
Yeah. All right, well, hey, I guess that's about it for NBA. You think it's time to move into a little college football discussion? A little back to school?
I think we can.
Yeah, I mean, I know we're running out of time in our first half here, but we can talk a little bit about it and maybe move into some more in the second half.
Yeah, you got your conference championship games coming up this week. Now, I guess one of the big things right now, to talk about is JT Barrett going down for Ohio State. I mean, that's going to hurt them. I mean, they're coming up. They're going to play Wisconsin in their championship game. I mean, without question, they have to win that game. They almost have to win it kind of impressively to leapfrog up. But I mean, right now, I mean, just because of what happened there, Wisconsin's a 4-point favorite against Ohio State in the championship game. Huge game for Ohio State. They got TCU and Baylor in front of them. They're going to need to leapfrog because Baylor plays Kansas State. Kansas State can win that game. Kansas State's a good football team. Baylor's tough. Mm-hmm. Baylor's going to come out. They definitely have something. Actually, Baylor's in 7th right now. TCU's in 5th. But yeah, Mississippi State lost. They were in 4th, so most likely it's going to be TCU that jumps up in there.
Is it Mariota who's the quarterback for Baylor?
No,
Oregon. That's right. Okay.
Bryce Petty for Baylor.
Right. Okay.
Oregon has their championship game. That's on Friday. Now they lost to Arizona in the regular season, so they've got a rematch of that game. Oregon lost that game earlier. Now they're still a 14-point favorite, so. That's going to be
They put a lot of points, right? That's what they're known for.
Yeah, but Arizona beat them one time, and Arizona's put up some points, but whatever. I mean, they were under 72.5. I'd probably jump on that. I mean, they'll probably score that at halftime, but definitely a must-win for Oregon. Alabama, the SEC championship game, they're playing Missouri.
Did you watch? I'm sorry. Did you watch the Alabama and Auburn game? Did you have a chance to watch that?
Yes.
Yeah, it was. They just ran off with it.
It was a good game there for a little while, and Alabama said, no, we don't think so.
Yeah, we're not going to give you a chance.
Yeah, so they're 14.5-point favorite over Missouri. Missouri's tough, but I mean, Alabama's just going to be too much for them. Alabama's going to remain number 1. They're going to play TCU, Ohio State, whoever does end up being in that 4th spot. ACC championship game, Florida State, Georgia Tech. I mean, everybody picks Florida State to lose every week. They're 4-point favorite. Georgia Tech's going to play them tough. I say it every week too. This is one that could be kind of a slip up for Florida State. If they lose, they're without question going to be out of the top 4. It's tough, but if you're going to lose early. If you lose late, it hurts you, especially in a format like this. But that's a game to watch out for. Georgia Tech could be tough. TCU, they're probably, when the rankings come out tonight. We're recording this on Tuesday. The rankings come out tonight at 7. When they come out, most likely TCU is going to be in that 4th spot. They've got a 2-9 Iowa State team. they should steamroll them. They're a 33.5-point favorite. And once they find out if and when they are the number 4 team, they're going to have that much more even to play for. So I look for that to be a track meet there at TCU. Let's see, we talked about Baylor, Kansas State. It could be a trip up, but Baylor 7. And Baylor wins that game, then it's tough because Baylor did beat TCU heads up.
The show tonight when they announced the top 4. Now you know better than I do. This is why you're a professor back to school. I mean, is this going to be some big event like the last several hours, or they literally come out and just go 1 through 4? Have a good night.
I never watch it.
Never watch
I
it?
see it the next day.
It's not like the Oscars of college football. It's not like
Now, I think they're doing it the following week. They're going to do the selection show, whatever have you, on Sunday.
okay.
So as opposed to waiting on Tuesday, they're going to do it Sunday. They're going to tell you the top 4 teams. And really, after the top 4 teams, I don't care where they're ranked.
Right.
I just want to see some good ball games. So hopefully there are some. But there's definitely going to be some good ball games because there's some good college football teams.
Well, I have to cut you off for a minute because we're at the end of our first half here, and we'll be back to discuss some more back to school with Chad, and then we'll move into some NFL recap of Week 13 and the upcoming playoffs picture as well. So please stick with us, and we will be back shortly. And we are back from halftime. We left off with some back to school with Chad, and we're going to come back to some back to school with Chad.
Yeah, school's out.
Okay then.
We're done.
That's it?
We got past all the main stuff.
All right. I like it. I like that. I like a quick session in school, out of school.
That's it, man.
Done. Perfect. All right. Well, listen, let's move into some NFL, and we're going to do a little bit of recap of Week 13. I don't know if there were any major surprises. Well, I guess Minnesota just taking it to Carolina. That was not so much surprising that Carolina lost, but just that they lost so severely.
Yeah, 31-13 at Minnesota. I mean, Carolina's garbage. They were actually had a chance. I mean,
Is that your expert opinion?
Yeah, to the extent of my knowledge, they're garbage. But they actually had a chance. They were fairly close. You know, even as bad as their record was with the Falcons and the Saints. You know, just for that division, and they've laid an egg. Minnesota's not a terrible football team. They're not great by any means, but they're definitely on the rise. They're not, if you look at them compared to like a team that you jinxed, like Oakland or somebody like that.
Man, I just ruined their whole season.
Yeah, I mean, they actually had, it seems to be fairly heading in the right direction. Speaking of your Raiders, 52-0.
Yeah.
Ugh. I mean, 52-0. I mean, this isn't Alabama playing Southwest Missouri State. I mean, these are 2 professional football teams.
I mean, it was. I didn't watch the whole game because I'm a red zone guy, but and I don't have the NFL tickets, so I don't even know how I would watch the whole game. But I mean, good God in heaven.
I don't have the ticket either, and I was sitting there. I usually keep my laptop there because I have fantasy implications and those 1-week fantasy leagues, and I did have Trey Mason. Okay. And I was sitting there and I was looking. I was like, I kind of actually wasn't paying a lot of attention to that game because it is the Rams and Raiders. But I did have Mason in almost all those leagues, and it just kept seeing this score go up and up. And I was like, I'm gonna have to start paying attention to this game. But I mean, the guy, and he didn't have a lot of carries, but he scored a ton of points. Sean Hill just threw all over him too. The Raiders are doo-doo. Now the Giants, talk about a team reeling. The Giants getting beat at Jacksonville. I mean, the Giants were up at one point in that game, 21-0. And you let a team like the Jacksonville Jaguars come back and beat you.
I think Coughlin's done there probably.
Well, it's not looking good for them. I mean, they've got young running backs. I mean, Rashad Dennis fairly young. Andre Williams is a rookie. Odell Beckham is a rookie. Now, I mean, if you're going to continue to move in that direction, in my eyes, it's got to be Coughlin's gone, because you can't say, all right, it's either Coughlin or Eli, because if Eli goes, Eli's got a lot more gas left in the tank than Coughlin does. Not to say that Coughlin wouldn't be good to go somewhere and be good to as like a startup or something for 3 or 4 years, but let's face it, he's on the back now.
He's the oldest coach in the NFL, right?
It's got to be.
I mean, he has to be. He has to be the oldest coach in the NFL.
Yeah, and I mean, they've got to decide on Eli is the main thing. I don't see them doing anything with him. The defense is suspect. They're not all that great, although I think one of those touchdowns was a defensive touchdown. Then you're talking about, I don't know if you want to bring this up. We can talk about the Colts and Redskins. That's got to be a little disappointing for you guys.
Well, let me tell you, it's the disappointing thing is you get so motivated for the season. You got someone like Jay Gruden coming in there, and you're thinking, all right, bloodline, right? Jay Gruden, let's do this, right? Nothing's changed. I mean, the defense, like they have some good plays here and there, but for the most part, they've got more holes in them than Swiss cheese. I mean, I'm wondering if Hazlitt's going to be back. The problem there is that his connection to Jay Gruden, you never know how that whole relationship's going to affect him coming back. I hope so. I put on the Facebook for Three Frosted Mugs, just a question, like, because the season's such a bust, if you were the owner of this team, what would you do? Would you have RG3 come back, or, would you figure out some other way to benefit your team? One of the responses was, I would sell the team to another owner and let's see how they do. That was it. That was pretty much it.
I mean, it's like I said, they're spiraling downward right now, and it's not seeming to look any better. Although they are scoring points right now with Colt McCoy.
It wasn't Colt McCoy who lost that game. It was our defense, and I mean, he just didn't. There were some points where he had no protection whatsoever.
Well, and a lot of people say a lot of the stats that he got were in garbage time. Well, yes, it was later on in the game, but when they were sitting there and it was 21-17, just about halfway through the third quarter, they didn't have to abandon the run then. Their defense broke down, giving up 40-yard play after 50-yard play after 60-yard play. So at that point, they didn't have to abandon the run, so he didn't need to put up gaudy stats then. Now, when they got out of control, they needed to abandon the run, then he put up gaudy stats. So, yes, they were kind of in garbage time, but the reason that he got all his stats late is because they had to. They were still running the ball fairly effective. They were still in the ball game. There was no reason when it was 21-17 to get off of the game plan. So that's kind of a little explanation as to why all those stats from Colt McCoy came late in that game. But that being said, that was just a total mental breakdown. You scored 27 points. You should be in most ball games in the National Football League. You give up 49 points, most likely you're not going to be in any game in the NFL. So,
well, unfortunately, it was the Colts, and you're facing off with Andrew Luck, and they're a tough team as it is.
And speaking of scoring, we talked about the Rams scoring 52, the Colts scoring 49. Ryan Fitzpatrick threw for 6 touchdowns on the Tennessee Titans. The Tennessee Titans are a bad football team, and they don't seem to be going in the right direction right now. And it's not helping that Zach Mettenberger's out. So Jay Clocker came in. I think he had like 2 fumbles and an interception. I don't know what. But the Texans are rolling right now. Andre Johnson, he's getting a lot of targets. DeAndre Hopkins had a huge game. He reaped the benefits of Ryan Fitzpatrick having a good game, and Aaron Foster staying healthy.
Well, how about J.J. Watt? How much of an influence on both sides of the ball? He scored his 3rd touchdown.
His 5th total touchdown of the year. The first time a defensive player has scored 5 touchdowns since 1944.
Look at you. Stat man.
That might not even be right.
Someone check his stats.
That's a Conway Reed stat, right?
I love it. Not since 1954. You know what? I really like J.J. Watt. He's probably my favorite player in the whole NFL, to be honest with you. He's just incredible. The things he can do, it's pretty amazing.
He's good.
Yeah. All right. So there was one team I wanted to talk about.
Well, I know Thanksgiving Day, real quick. You can check out your team. There was no good games.
Yeah.
The Lions beat the snot out of the Bears. The Bears were in there for a little while, but they sucked.
They're awful, man.
Cowboys got crap kicked out of them by the Eagles in the game that we had to show up in. And the Seahawks just dominated the 49ers, whose offense looks horrendous.
They did. No, in fantasy, I think Kaepernick scored 6 points because I was facing off against him. But just to the Bears real quick, how did they become so terrible? What has changed about their team?
If you look at that offensive roster, there's no way.
It doesn't make
that
sense.
the Bears should be that bad.
I mean, okay, Jay Cutler's hit or miss sometimes because he takes stupid risks. He's a gunslinger, is what I've always heard referred to as. But you still have Brandon Marshall. You still have Alshon Jeffrey.
Matt Forte,
and Matt
Kelly
Forte.
Bennett.
It does. Is it Trespin? Is that who it is? Is it the coaching? I mean, what in the hell is going on?
It's got to be coach. I mean, Trespin was unproven. They came in, he did fairly well last year. But, I mean, I just don't see, when you have the weapons like that, only thing I can say, yeah, it's bad quarterback play, but, I mean, they've got such a good team around them. How can you not just stumble into, scoring 27 points a game? I don't know what they're averaging, but my goodness.
I mean,
They've got a good offensive line. They've got more receivers. They know what to do. Well, okay, they got Jeffrey and Marshall and Bennett. I consider Bennett a receiver. Their backup,
Yeah.
Dante Rosario, is not that bad. Josh Morgan.
I know him as much as Rasul Roberts.
Russell Butler.
Russell Butler, yeah.
Roberts. But their defense, they don't have a real good defense at all. I mean, they picked up Jared Allen.
Mm-hmm.
But Jared Allen, let's face it, the better years of him are in his past. They're not a good tackling team. They lost Peanut Tillman for the year earlier in the season. He was one of their leaders there. So those kind of things don't help. But they're just a bad football team in general. Like, you look at a team like the Arizona Cardinals, what's his name? Carson Palmer goes down.
Yeah.
First thing comes in, they keep playing well. He's in there now, and
They're faltering a little bit on their
they are.
offense.
And when Lurch was on the show, he said they were going to come back to the pack a little bit.
Mhm.
I still see them to kind of hang around there, but yeah, they're reeling.
I mean, the Falcons, it's first of all, Mike Smith is literally like cardboard as far as motivation of a coach whatsoever. And soon we'll see him in that seat where they were showing all of the players they were releasing on Hard Knocks. Yeah, I mean, that just doesn't make any sense. But the Cardinals, they lost 29-18 to the Falcons. I guess old Matty Ice found some stride right there.
Yeah, they're the number one seed as of right now. The Arizona Cardinals.
Yeah, at 5-7.
In the
Yes,
NFC.
at 5-7. Yes.
Well, Arizona at 9-3. Yeah, the Falcons.
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought you Falcons.
Yeah, the Falcons are up at 9-7. They win the tiebreak over New Orleans based on the head-to-head because they beat New Orleans. New Orleans is 4-4 in the conference. 5-4 is Atlanta. So you got Arizona. You got the number 2 seed at Green Bay, who's 9-3, 6-3 in the conference. That's the tiebreaker they have over Green Bay based on the conference. Philly's 5-3 in the conference, 9-3. They're leading the NFC East now. They hold the tiebreaker over Dallas. Well, they win right now because they beat Dallas heads up and they're a game ahead of them. They also right now, if it did come down to it, they hold a game lead. Actually, they've played one less game. They're 5-3 in the conference. Dallas is 5-4. So I guess it won't really come down to those two teams as far as the wild card, because one of those teams are either going to get in due to winning the East or not. There's no really other threat.
If I'm not mistaken, though, the Cowboys, not that they have an easy road ahead next few games, but I think they play Chicago next on Thursday.
Correct.
So that's kind of a wrapped up gift for them a little bit. They could go either way, I guess, right?
Our defense is terrible.
There were a couple surprise performances though, and you never know. Jay Cutler could throw 17 interceptions. That's quite possible.
Those 17 touchdowns.
The Eagles play the Seahawks, I think, coming up very shortly, and then those teams meet again. The Eagles and Dallas meet the following week. I like the Cowboys' future, I guess, with what teams they have coming up.
Yeah.
Real quick though, I just want to mention I was watching the Bengals and Buccaneers. And the Buccaneers almost beat the Bengals. It was this close.
Yeah, what happened to that?
12 men on the field. 12 men on the field, and Marvin Lewis threw the flag, threw the challenge flag.
Were they lying to kick up a field goal or something?
No, they were getting ready to run. They ran a play. Made a successful drive forward. They were getting up to, snap the ball again, try to get one more play off to get the kick closer.
Despite the clock.
Despite the clock. And then Marvin Lewis threw out the challenge flag, which you can't do under 2 minutes, so they did charge them a timeout. But it stopped it long enough to where the referees could go back and check out the last play. And there were 12 men on the field. And Marvin Lewis said, we were trying to match up personnel, and we couldn't do it. There was one extra guy. Because of a coaching error. And, Lovie Smith took that on his own. It was his coaching error. They were backed up out of field goal range, ran one more play, and basically the clock ran out, and they, Bengals held off 14-13.
Yeah, I saw how it was close and then this and that. And I was,
How exciting would that have been, though, if they had won that game, because they were not mathematically eliminated from winning the division because their division is so terrible right now. I mean, they could have won that game and then, won out and possibly taken over the division.
yeah, now
I see that
they're
happening, but
behind Washington for the worst team in the NFC.
man, don't remind
They're
me.
2-10.
Don't remind me.
Washington and the Giants are 3-9, and Carolina's 3-8.
Let me ask your thoughts on something, because I've been kind of going back and forth with the RG3 benching. Here's the thing: if they don't keep RG3 around, wouldn't they want to try to shop him out a little bit by how he plays, or is it just so bad
Oh, they don't want to expose him.
they don't want to? Okay,
I mean, he's already basically been exposed. I mean, that offense. I mean, Colt McCoy didn't have the greatest of games. He had a pretty decent game, and they still scored 27 points.
mm-hmm.
They couldn't get past 10 points with RG3.
Yeah,
So they didn't want him to get exposed. That's why when they're saying they're trotting out Colt McCoy now as a starter, but RG3 is still in their plans. RG3, the only plans that he's in is the trade bait.
yeah.
There's no way they're putting him out there and letting everybody continue to see how bad he is. The only plan he's in right now, sorry Washington fans, well, actually Washington fans, y'all are probably happy because he's getting traded and y'all either have, I think the most upside is in Kirk Cousins. I mean, Colt McCoy, if he continues to play good, hey, it took Alex Smith a few years to really get the NFL. And you look at Colt McCoy's record in college. I don't know exactly what it is, but I think when he left college, he had, he was in the top one, and he may have been the top or top three of all-time wins in college. So this is not a dumb guy. It's not some just random kid you're trotting out there to run your football team. So hey, if it works out for him, great. Maybe have Kirk be your backup, or even shop Kirk around.
Well, this is one of those things too, where this team has way bigger problems than just the quarterback. I mean, it's like Alex Smith to me, right? Alex Smith is not, in my mind, a game changer per se, but he's been surrounded with good personnel and he makes pretty good decisions. What they say at the first pass of the Kansas City game against Denver, he threw an over 20-yard pass. That was literally, you could count on your hands the number of times he did that this season.
Yeah, he's going to put the ball downfield.
Nah. Not when you have Jamal Charles in charge. Why would you want to do that?
Well, they don't have any wide receivers.
No,
you've got somewhere over Dwayne Bowe.
Yeah.
And I'll never stop saying that when I say his name.
I like the puns of all the players we're doing out of your Charles in charge.
yeah. I heard. I didn't hear you. Were you talking?
Yeah, I was talking a little bit. Just a little bit. And one more game to talk about real quick before we go into the playoffs again real quick. Okay. The Browns, Browns lost to the Bills 26-10. Hoyer's been playing pretty well up until this point. I think he's 11 touchdowns for 10 interceptions for the season. But he threw like 2 or 3 interceptions that game, I think.
He's thrown like 6 in the past 3 games.
Yeah, so they pulled him, sat him for Johnny Manziel, who did an 80-yard drive and then ran in for a touchdown. And then he got leveled later in the game in the end zone. Oh my God, he got just like crushed. There were a bunch of memes of him napping on the field and stuff. 'Cause, he was flat out laying there. Welcome to the NFL. So I'm curious to see what's going to happen this coming week.
I hope he starts. I think. I'm a Johnny Manziel fan. I think he's going to do well. I know there's a lot of people out there that say his game won't translate. The guy, he's a football player. He knows how to win football games. He's been in big games. Beating Alabama. Granted, I understand that's college, but he did beat Alabama. He had a great college career, but you've got to at least give him a chance. You're 7-5 right now. On the outside looking into the playoffs. Cleveland, they're in the 11th spot right now in the AFC. So you've seen what Hoyer has. Okay, and it's not, you wouldn't be watching the season up. But you need, if you're going to bench him, then you need to bench Hoyer, put in Manziel. Do it right now. Don't try him out one more game, then do the same thing, take him out. It's stupid. If you're going to put him in, put him in. That's what I'm trying to say. Put him in.
So you think it's the smart move to change up with the prospect of getting into the playoffs?
Yeah. Because you got to figure. They're 11th out because of the win percentages and the tiebreakers or whatever. over the teams in front of them. It's a very slight chance that they're going to get in.
Mhm.
So try out Manziel, see what he's got. Let's look at their remaining schedule, see what they have here.
All right.
All right, so they're coming up. They got the Colts. That's going to be a tough one to try them out.
That
But
might
hey,
be 49-20.
that's what Washington did with Colt McCoy.
Mm-hmm.
You got the Bengals. Both are at home. The Bengals are a good football team, and it's a division rival.
Mm-hmm.
Then, all right, then he'll catch a little break. He goes to Carolina. He'll catch a little break. He'll be able to put up some gaudy stats against them. And then Baltimore. So it wouldn't be an easy 4 games, but hey, you would put him in, and you would get a test, and you would see what you got with him.
Yeah.
So I think it's the right thing to do because even with Brian Hoyer in, it's unlikely that you're going to win. You may, if you get lucky, you're going to go 2-2. I'll give them a win at Carolina, but other than that, it's hard to give them a win at Indianapolis, Cincinnati, or Baltimore, playing against any of those teams, no matter what quarterback you got.
Yeah.
So why not try it out, Johnny Manziel?
Well, all in all, it's been a pretty damn successful season, I'd say, for the Browns, though. I mean, comparatively to what they've... I would love that record right now. I would love that record for Washington right now. It's ridiculous. Oh, it's disgusting. All the people who bought all those RG3 jerseys.
I'm bitter.
I mean,
Does KG Kevin have one?
I don't know if he does.
Thank
I
you.
would assume he does. I'm thinking about changing my dog's name, quite honestly, to Colt McCoy.
McCoy.
No, fully Colt McCoy. That's what I'm going to...
That's what you're going to name.
Yeah, you're Colt McCoy.
I think you should. Yeah, matter of fact, KG Kevin does have one because I know he's been wearing his Joe Theismann jersey. he went deep into the closet to get that Joey T jersey on.
I should have went with the Morris jersey. Should have went with or the Kerrigan. I mean, Kerrigan will hopefully be there forever. Hopefully, he'll be our oh shit. What am I trying to think of? Just any sort of the Steelers Harrison.
Oh, yeah,
Hopefully,
yeah,
he'll be like that long-term defensive player.
yeah.